The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
It's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. And remember, this time check is proudly brought to you by Access Bank. Kings and Queens, let's rock. And today we're talking solar power, an important component of our everyday lives. And the question is, are we using solar to its advantage? Are we using it in our everyday lives? You know, I've read out in Kenya where they use solar and they feed it back into the grid. We know that our local parastatal is definitely, BPC is, due to unforeseen circumstances, prices are going up and up and up. And this is an important conversation to have today. Solar is one of my all-time favorite components of everyday life. And solar energy in line with climate change is also a conversation that must be had. How does this fit within our nation? Well, you know, we get a lot of sun in Botswana. Hey. That one we'd have nothing short of. And summertime is here. I always say during summertime, it's time to call your air conditioner technician and make sure your air conditioning is full. But moving swiftly along. Look, let me introduce to you our expert who's in the building live in Gabs FM, the Purple Studios. I've got Brian Smizer from the U.S. Embassy. He is the Economic and Commercial Officer for the Embassy, which also means he really knows a lot of stuff about solar. Brian, how are you?
Hey, Swift. Hi, everyone. Good to be with you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. How was your day? How's your week?
Keeping busy. It was good to have you at the Independence Day celebration earlier this week.
Yeah. It was lovely. I must say, I really enjoyed. I didn't get the photo booth, but I think Aisha will put it together and make sure I take a photo, but well done. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, look, let's get straight into it, Brian. What makes clean energy specifically in solar? I mean, we often hear that we have the right ingredients in Botswana for great solar infrastructure, for great solar industry. Is it a good fit for this nation? Is that a myth? Talk to us.
I think you're exactly right about the right ingredients. And in fact, when I look at sort of the past 50 years in Botswana and the role that diamonds have played in being sort of the foundation of Botswana's economy.
Absolutely.
I think solar energy and clean energy more broadly can play that role in the next 50 years for Botswana's economy.
Yeah.
I mean, number one is sort of the scientific potential is there, meaning exactly what you said, the solar radiation coming into Botswana, it's top 5 in the world, right?
So the top 5 in the world.
The potential is there. And then also the market is there. Something that Botswana is gifted with is land, of course, compared to its population size.
Yes.
But right up against Botswana is a huge market that's hungry for energy as well. So it's not just about Botswana's market that makes it a factor for why Botswana has so much to benefit from solar energy. It's actually its proximity to a market like South Africa that's hungry for energy and would really benefit from this as well, which ultimately creates a market and economic opportunity for Botswana and investors here.
Wow. Top 5 in the world. I had no idea. And of course, you mentioned something that is important. You mentioned macroeconomics and the economic opportunities. Whether we like it or not, the pandemic has put many economies in ICU. We're trying to resuscitate our economic activities within the country. What does all this mean for the Botswana economy in line with solar energy? How can we take advantage not only of the economic impact, but, even the value chain?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think obviously item number one is fulfilling Botswana's energy needs.
Absolutely.
That can be met in many ways. And we see that at the moment, the coal plants in Botswana aren't sufficing. And so it's a great opportunity to supplement. But the real reason or the real motivation for why that's so compelling is that at the moment, Botswana is importing something in the range of $400 million or more every year of electricity from neighboring countries in the region.
Wow.
Turning that around would be a fantastic story for Botswana, number one. But number two, I mean, you can only just imagine, and your viewers can too, is what can be done with that $400 million if it were repurposed into, say, the economic diversification that Botswana is also actively pursuing.
Wow.
So there's a big opportunity on that front. And why clean energy also matters in this mix, you could have the conversation about coal, other energy sources, is there's also the water challenge. We all know Botswana is an arid place.
Yes.
Water isn't necessarily widely available, but yet we want to be, making sure we can feed our agricultural production efforts.
Absolutely.
We can feed our cattle. But running power plants like coal, for example, use a lot of water. That's not the same requirement for solar. Solar is far more transportable, far more distributed. It can service local communities, but also address all of these issues from the financial side to the water side to simply the energy access side. Let alone global conversations about, Botswana's commitments within the broader scheme of the world on climate change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Funny enough, I know locally a lot of farmers have gotten in the solar space, especially in line with drilling their boreholes and ensuring that the boreholes are powered by, solar energy. So, I mean, there is a lot of potential. I couldn't agree with you more. Let's talk about the various stakeholders. Is it all this just for BPC? Is there opportunities for, entrepreneurs? Is there opportunities? How does all of this relate to consumers, in the bigger spectrum of things?
Sure. Well, the value proposition on clean energy is changing. I think in many ways, whereas maybe in the past we would have said solar energy is alternative energy or clean energy, in many ways, that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
Solar energy and clean energy are the standard.
Yes.
And they've, in many cases, outcompeted the sort of more dirty forms of energy, if you will, coal, gas, things like that. And so there's a big opportunity for everyone in that mix. What that does is it brings down the cost and the payback period for, say, at-home solar systems. The U.S. Embassy worked with BPC to set up the framework for the rooftop solar program, which does exactly like the program that you referenced in Kenya, which is excess power feeding back into the grid while also meeting your needs on, a small residential property or a commercial property.
Nice.
So there's a lot of examples that I think you'll probably hear about later on too. One of the things that we're also doing, in addition to supporting BPC and the Ministry of Minerals and Energy, working with them on sort of formulating how do we develop a sector that can really get going in terms of looking at exporting clean energy to the region, building jobs, building economic potential, we're also actively looking at how to engage the private sector on these issues here. So, I mean, what that means is it's a big enough market that there's space for everyone. So yes, there's good healthy competition, but at the same time, there's room to grow, there's room to expand. And so, some of the things we're trying to look at is how can the private sector here help make that transition to a service-based economy, a knowledge-based economy for Botswana, but also position itself as the sort of local content partner for foreign investors that also might come in seeing that potential that's there.
Oh, wow.
So, one of the things that I think is a nice summary is, Botswana has really done an excellent job managing its diamond resources, making money from those diamond resources. That's sort of what you could call diamond extraction. Let's talk about manufacturing in the future. I think in many ways, solar energy can be a perfect marriage of the two, right? You can think of it as manufacturing clean energy and exporting that to the region. And I think there's a lot of potential and there's plenty of room for the private sector. We're trying to do that through, say, the American Business Council, through our partnerships with the government, but also general outreach, exactly like this today.
Yeah. And just a quick one, Brian. All this information, can we contact the U.S. Embassy? Is it available on your website? Can we engage? Of course, Botswana are listening on the show and they're saying, okay, look, I hear Brian and Swift. I do see a lot of potential. I mean, whether we like it or not, the world is moving towards climate change and clean energy. Even in the financial systems and global funding is also leaning towards clean energy,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I guess it's important to note that, Botswana is leading the way on this for people in Botswana, right?
Yes.
So engagement with BPC through the rooftop solar program, that's the great channel for, say, the residential applications. But engage us as well. And another thing I should highlight is the American Business Council, where we're working with them to sort of develop some of their own solar engagement so that the solar industry here can be well connected to what's going on, how the market is moving.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, next week we're actually going to have a conversation between our sort of partner on the ground working with the government on some of these solar issues with some private businesses connected to the American Business Council. And so for folks interested, they should reach out to the American Business Council, get information on that side. And of course, more broadly speaking, we're engaging on a lot of fronts. We're developing some entrepreneurial initiatives connected to solar energy. So reach out to the embassy, but also Botswana is leading the way on this. And so we're, excited to be Botswana's partner. We think it's a great opportunity for everybody involved.
Fantastic. Well, if you've just joined us, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, America in Botswana, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission in Botswana in partnership with Gabs FM. Today we're talking solar, energy, clean energy, and whether we like it or not, this is an important component to have. If you're building a house, I strongly suggest involve a solar energy component of your infrastructure. Budget now. I often find that we need to stop being reactive and start being more proactive. Including, the mining sector, Brian. The mining sector can really take advantage of these huge solar energy opportunities. It's something that we need to also see a lot of our leading minds within the country. I know some of them are having conversations around transitioning into solar energy, which is an important component.
It's absolutely true. And you can look at it, especially right now, when I think we're all feeling the pain in our pockets of high fuel prices, right?
Woo!
When you're looking at mines that are often off even the BPC grid,
yes,
they're running on diesel generators.
Yes.
But it's not just mines. 90% of the boreholes in the country, that's more than 40,000 boreholes, they're running on diesel. So you can imagine the cost of even just obtaining drinking water. There's very clear and easy to do with good payback periods solar applications for solving those problems. The potential is vast. It touches all aspects of the economy, whether it's your big mining companies or even your local communities looking for drinking water simply.
Wow. Well, Brian, you're my new best friend, okay?
Sounds great.
Yeah, you're my new best friend. I need to tap into this energy
Please
and, of
do.
course, understanding solar energy. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And, whether we like it or not, this is how we educate. I'm definitely interested, and I'll speak to Aisha about the American business.
The American Business Council, I think we'd love to share more detail on that. It's run by the business community here. They're Botswana-based businesses.
Okay, great.
Generally speaking, with a U.S. connection or interest in exports through AGOA, which maybe you've heard of in the past.
Yes, I've heard of AGOA.
Anyway, so we help to facilitate that, but really it's a private sector-driven initiative.
Definitely.
And what we're trying to do is match the private sector initiative on solar with the work that Botswana as a government is doing as well. And I think there's a lot of potential for both to be involved. It's a huge marketplace in clean energy here, and we're looking to help it thrive.
And that's what we call shared prosperity. Kings and Queens, we're going to continue conversation. And the next segment is called Ask the Chargé, or Ask the Acting Ambassador segment, where we allow you to ask all the burning questions that you may have for the Acting Ambassador of the United States Embassy to Botswana, Her Excellency Amanda Jacobson. And here we have question number 1. What is your favorite place to visit in Botswana? Your Excellency, let's go.
Ooh, that's a really, really tough question because Botswana is such a beautiful country. But I think of all the places that I've visited, I think Shakawe is one of the most, remote, visually appealing places I've visited. I just love the river, and, there's just so much life on the river. I found that incredibly fascinating. So I think in the future, if I could, spend more time up in that area, Botswana, I'd be thrilled.
Absolutely. And I'm from up north. We're from the north side of the nation, and definitely it's the most beautiful side of the nation. Don't worry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but moving swiftly along. Let's ask, what is your favorite food to eat in Botswana?
Ooh, well, I hate to give away secrets, but my favorite food in Botswana is served by a street vendor really close to the U.S. Embassy here in the government enclave. So for 20 pula at lunchtime, I love the samp, saswa, cabbage, and moroho. I just actually finished my lunch 5 minutes ago, and I'm a regular there at this street stall for lunch.
I love it. Fantastic. And thank you so much for supporting the small street vendor. It's an important component of the economy, and it's nice to say. I think I need to challenge Her Excellency the next time she's there to take a picture for me and put it on social media. I know I've got the team in the building, and we'll definitely put that one together. Now, listen up. This past week, I was at the American Independence Day event at the ambassador's residence, where we came together with a number of people from the, civic to the government, to different people under, the banner of shared culture, where we were just sharing their insights and celebrating the 4th of July independence. I got to meet a very, very interesting woman. She is fantastic. She's been on a visit to Botswana. Her name is Sheila Bai. Hey, Bayalas. I hope I said it correctly, Sheila. Forgive me. And she is the Climate Adaptation Lead in the Office of Global Change at the U.S. Department of State in Washington, D.C. And she took some time out to answer some questions, for the prolific one, aka the prolific Pantsola. And, she sent some of these and what she had to say. Look, whether we like it or not, climate change is an important component and we got to have this conversation. This is what she had to say to me.
Dumala, and good morning. My name is Shella Bialis, and I am the Climate Adaptation Lead in the Office of Global Change at the U.S. Department of State. I am based in Washington, D.C., but I'm here in Gaborone this week to take part in the Botswana Global Adaptation Week, specifically the National Adaptation Planning Global Expo 2022. In addition to being part of the United States Climate Change team, I am also the current co-chair of the Adaptation Committee, one of the primary technical advisory bodies under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This week has been a busy one, but I have enjoyed the Botswana cool weather and warm hospitality immensely, and I am pleased to be able to say a little bit about the U.S. work on climate change here today. Now, we know that Africa is already experiencing some of the worst effects of climate change. Earlier this month, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was in neighboring South Africa, where he announced the new U.S. strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa. This strategy makes it clear that it will be impossible to meet today's challenges, including tackling the climate crisis, without African contributions and leadership. One of the 4 overarching objectives for working with African countries under this strategy is for the U.S. to support conservation, climate adaptation, and a just energy transition. The United States recognizes that Africa's efforts to conserve and restore the continent's ecosystems and rich natural resources, while also realizing energy access and energy security goals, diversifying its energy mix, and building sustainable supply chains, are central to tackling the global climate crisis. Although the region is responsible for extremely low emissions per capita, it stands to suffer from some of the worst severe effects of climate change. As such, we will support conservation, climate adaptation, and a just energy transition by partnering with governments, civil society, and local communities to conserve, manage, and restore the continent's rich natural ecosystems, supporting countries in their efforts to minimize and adapt to the impacts of a changing climate, including enhancing community, economic, and supply chain resilience, working closely with countries to accelerate their just transitions to a clean energy future, energy access, and energy security. And finally, by pursuing public-private partnerships to sustainably develop and secure the critical minerals that will supply clean energy technologies. President Masisi's vision for a 15% of Botswana's energy to come from renewable sources by 2030 is an ambitious one, and the United States is already working to help make this pledge a reality. Our work under Power Africa with the governments of Botswana and Namibia on the Mega Solar Initiative will bring power to hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses in Botswana and Namibia over the next 20 years. But since I'm here in Gaborone this week to speak about adaptation, I wanted to emphasize that the Mega Solar Project and other renewable energy projects not only secure energy for the people of Botswana, but make the country more resilient to climate change impacts. Solar and wind do not depend on fuel imports, which can be disrupted by natural disasters or war. They do not rely on water reservoirs, which are becoming more depleted as climate change impacts water availability. And solar and wind can continue to operate even as temperatures increase. Investing in renewable energy means stopping climate change and adapting to its impacts. But even if we had 100 mega solar projects come online tomorrow, we would still need to adapt to the climate impacts we are experiencing now. Recognizing this, at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland last year, President Biden announced the President's Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience, or PREPARE. Through PREPARE, the U.S. government will support our African partners in getting early warning and climate information into people's hands, implementing adaptation solutions across infrastructure, food security, health and water, and improving access to finance, both public and private, to help the most vulnerable people adapt to and manage the impacts of climate change. The State Department is supporting, for example, the African Union's flagship adaptation program, the Africa Adaptation Initiative, which is improving adaptive capacity across the continent. Under PREPARE, we are also responding to the dire food crisis caused by Russia's unprovoked war in Ukraine through additional food security funding for Africa announced by President Biden at the G7 summit in July. This includes bilateral support that will be implemented by my colleagues at USAID, but will also include multilateral support for initiatives that are working to address the compounding challenges presented by the global food crisis and climate change. These include additional focused support for the Africa Adaptation Initiative to develop a pipeline of bankable projects in Africa to leverage private equity, support for the Africa Risk Capacity and the Africa Disaster Risk Financing Program to help African governments respond to food system shocks by increasing access to risk insurance products. And finally, a fertilizer efficiency and innovation program to help enhance the efficiency of fertilizer use in countries where fertilizer tends to be over-applied. Here in Botswana, one of the organizations the United States has supported since their beginning is called the National Adaptation Planning Global Network, or NAPGN. I did my homework before coming to Botswana, and I was very happy to learn that NAPGN worked closely with the government to help launch the National Adaptation Plan Framework for Botswana in 2020. This framework provides a clear outline for how Botswana will build a climate-proof economy. Key focus areas of the framework include mainstreaming adaptation into local and national planning and decision-making, and encouraging active participation of the private sector to bring in much-needed financial and innovative technology resources. Of course, much has happened over the last 2 years that makes achieving these ambitious adaptation objectives even more challenging. But I know the Ministry of Environment and Tourism continues to build on this framework to ensure that Botswana builds resilience to the impacts of climate change. Thank you again, Swift, for this chance to talk about climate change here on your program.
The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
It's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. Thank you so much. And that is an important conversation to have. And I think this goes to show the power of the Stars and Stripes shows, shared prosperity and shared knowledge as much as we can. And feel free to engage the U.S. Embassy if you'd like to understand a lot more. You can go to their website and they're always willing to share. The next segment we got next is called Chasing the Dream. And personally, it's one of my all-time favorite segments. Look, I think the Stars and Stripes show is my favorite show because I say that, different segments are my favorites. But, moving swiftly along, today we're talking the educational opportunities that the U.S. Embassy offers through its Education USA office for prospective students, academics, professionals. To bring this segment to light, we have your favorite educational advisor, Oabile Tau, from the U.S. Embassy Public Affairs Office to highlight some exciting news and upcoming opportunities.
Yeah,
how are you, my friend?
I'm doing awesome. Great seeing you the 4th of July. You were looking very swift.
Thank you. I can't do when I saw the invite, they said formal, and I was like, oh Lord, how am I going to mix this together?
I know. I wondered how you're going to rock up, but you didn't disappoint.
Thank you so much, my friend. I saw you on social media. You were out in Palape?
Yeah,
yes.
I was in Francistown, I was in Palape, and
wow.
I am making plans to be in Tabong September 20th. So
okay.
Things are really happening.
Fantastic. Let's talk Yali. What is going on, Yali? What is the Yali Regional Leadership Center, RLC, Southern Africa? What component of the Young African Leaders Initiative? What component is that?
We are talking about, currently we know that the Mandela Washington Fellowship is open. And please do go in and continue and apply.
Yes.
But what the Mandela Washington Fellowship is, you have to be between the ages of 25 to 35, right?
Yes.
Which takes you and I out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes. But we look like we're, 21 and 21.
I age backwards, my friend.
I got you. Me and you are song.
So now we have the Yali Regional Leadership Centers.
Okay.
And these were constructed, or they formulated to try by all means to capture them young, young leaders young. So unlike the Mandela Washington Fellowship, this one targets young leaders from the ages of 18.
Okay.
You have to be between 18 and 35. And the tracks are similar to that of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, right?
Okay.
So you can apply to either business and entrepreneurship track, the civic leadership track, as well as the public management.
Nice.
This one is a 6-week training, though, in South Africa, one of our regional centers in Pretoria.
Okay.
So you can actually we have a hybrid program. So if you don't, maybe at least or something. You can also do in person as well as online.
Perfect.
So now because we're talking solar, for those people who want to get into business and entrepreneurship in the areas of solar, this is a great opportunity for you to actually, go and learn more about the business and the acumen, meet other people within the area. Maybe then solar could be an opportunity for you.
Absolutely.
To dive into.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. Where can people get a hold of you? They want more information about what's going on. Yali is a great platform. I actually have a confession. I tried to apply. YDF your age group does not allow.
I know.
But the reason why is because it's such a quality and rich program that I really, really would like to encourage Botswana to please go to the website.
Yeah.
They can search Yali, Young African Leaders Initiative. Online, and everything will pop up. Go and definitely apply,
exactly. And please be part of the network. Join the Yali network.
Yes.
Just go to www.state.gov.
Nice
www.state.gov. And to reach me, please, at the office is 395-3982. Or you can WhatsApp me at 76604-864. The hours are between 7:30 and 5 p.m. Mondays to Thursday, and on Friday is 7:30 to 1:30 p.m.
Well, thank you so much, Matau. It's always a pleasure to have you, and we're going to move along swiftly. You know you're loved, right?
I know. As must stay.
I love it.
Attention young leaders. Applications for the 2023 Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders are now open and due September 13. For more information, visit mwfellows.info/apply.
The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
It's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. Welcome back to the Stars and Stripes show. America in Botswana, talking shared culture, shared prosperity, and shared opportunities. Whether you like it or not, there's a lot that we can benefit from the Stars and Stripes radio show. And of course, thank you to the Botswana government and the U.S. government for coming together and offering value for the citizen of this country. And of course, please feel free to head over to the U.S. Embassy Facebook pages and feel free to like their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages. They got a lot of information on those platforms, grants and opportunities for you and I. And okay, we're going to move along into what is called the Partner Spotlight. This is where you get to know, the friends of the show, friends of the U.S. Embassy Botswana. If you are a Yali alumni, a Mandela Washington Fellow alumni, or you are part of the IVLP program, this is where we get to interact with you, understand your projects and grants, and we would like to hear from you directly. So please get in touch with us through the U.S. Embassy's Facebook page, and we also want to hear the testimonial from the voice of the Botswana. Now let's get back into it. Today's show is Solar Power in Botswana, and we've got none other than Re Ditologo DT Mile, Director of Sustainable Energy Botswana, here with us in studio. Bratiti, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much, Swift.
Yes, sir.
And good morning to Gabs FM listeners at home.
Yes. Rumor has that you've got a big bull at a farm somewhere in the Khabane area. Rumor has, is that true? Yes
Well,
or no?
I've heard that rumor also.
Okay.
Gift. I am a farmer.
Okay.
Yes, but by training, I'm a quantity surveyor. I've been
Fantastic.
a quantity surveyor for the practicing quantity surveying for the past 29 years to 30 years.
Geez, so you understand the numbers.
I do. I'm
Okay.
a numbers man.
Okay.
In attention to detail.
Aha, that's why you're my friend.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But I participate in a lot of different things. One of the things that I do is farming at a commercial level.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that is what has brought me to solar.
Yes.
In the first place, when I looked at how it made sense to utilize the sun that we have in
Okay.
abundance in our country. And as a result, we did from a company called
Wow.
Sustainable Energy Botswana,
Okay.
which I'm a director of, and that's why we're here today to talk
Okay.
about solar and how it can benefit Botswana.
So as a farmer, you identified there's a strong component of farming that uses a lot of electricity or diesel, and that, obviously pushed you into this industry to say, look, can solar power really provide you with the kind of output you need as a farmer?
Yes, Swift. I mean, just to put things into perspective.
Yes.
I used to use 1,200 liters of diesel a month just
So-
to pump water out of the ground. And if you to look at today's prices, that would have cost me about 258,000 pula a year just to pump water. And as you can see by the numbers, that is not sustainable.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I made my transition a few years ago. That was before even the energy prices are where they are today. So you can imagine that, I had a look at how you can actually transition and position yourself to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. And also to just, farming is a beautiful business. You need to keep it quiet and bond with nature.
Yes.
And, where we farm, like in the Western Sandbelt, it's out, and it's the only form of electricity you could get is diesel generation.
Yes.
And it's noisy.
Yes.
It pollutes the atmosphere.
Yes.
And obviously, as a responsible farmer, I was interested more in reducing my carbon footprint as much as I can, because I know cattle in their nature produce a lot of methane.
Look, there's a component, an assumption that solar is very expensive. There is a narrative, and this is not part of my formal questioning, but just to digress slightly, motivate the fact that solar is an investment versus a cost, because a lot of Botswana may perceive solar to be this very, very expensive, especially in farming and other components. From somebody who's operating in the business sector, how would you motivate that solar is a good investment?
Thank you very much, Swift. That's a very interesting question. And actually, it allows me to bust a few myths surrounding solar.
Yes.
If you look at solar, I mean, first of all, you have to look at whether solar is actually reliable. I think that's one of the first things you have to look at.
Absolutely.
If you look at the source of solar power is the sun. Every day the sun rises without fail. Is always on time. Is never late.
Yeah.
And you can depend on it.
Yes,
and therefore, as a result, if you look at Botswana, for example, as a country,
yes,
Brian has mentioned earlier on in part one of this show,
yes,
that we like in terms of irradiance, which is the energy you can harvest from the sun, measured per watts per square meter, is actually the fifth highest in the world, which is actually very high. So in that way, when you look at that, as Botswana, we have like 320 days of clear skies.
Yes.
We can predict and produce solar energy that is reliable in this country. And therefore, it comes as a no-brainer for anyone to just naturally progress into transitioning to using solar as a source of energy, which is cleaner, cheaper, because if you look at what the World Energy Council has actually indicated, that solar energy has actually become one of the cheapest form of energy.
Yes. I actually was having an argument with somebody about that coincidentally yesterday, with what is going on between Russia and Ukraine and, the gas prices. Solar has now become so attractive to a lot of people, including within the trade wars between China and Germany being one of the top producers of solar. You can tell that solar is providing a favorable position for a lot of people, especially in business. So I do agree with you. Let's talk about Botswana adopting technology and how they're promoting the uptake. How's it going in the business sector? Are people opening their doors to the idea? Is there a lot of knowledge and information that needs to be disseminated to Botswana around solar? We've seen, if I'm not mistaken, one of the top, Airport Junction did a solar project, if I'm not mistaken. How has it been in terms of that component of your everyday life?
Thank you very much, Swift. That's another very interesting question.
Yes.
And if you look at the Botswana government, if you look at, they have the integrated resource plan, which talks to transitioning to renewable energy. And solar energy is one of those that are mentioned in the integrated resource plan.
Yes, sir.
And that's, it is making Botswana aware, and people are aware of solar energy as a source of energy, electricity that can be utilized in the country. And there are also other initiatives, which are some of the drivers, like Brian has mentioned earlier on, the BPC rooftop solar program, which is also supported by the Power Africa, which is a US government initiative.
Oh, wow.
And which a lot of Botswana are utilizing it. We are actually involved as Sustainable Energy Botswana to assist people to apply to benefit from this. And this is a fantastic program because it allows you to not just be a consumer of electricity. It allows you, as Swift at home,
yes,
to be able to produce electricity for your own needs. And if you produce excess, and sell it to BPC, to the grid, and it to benefit. So it actually puts money in your pocket.
Wow.
So it also applies to businesses. We've worked with a few businesses that lend itself perfect, because if you look at like offices, for example, most of them operate during the day. That's the right time for you to utilize solar. And we've seen businesses shaving off a significant amount of their bills, which is again affects the bottom line in terms of the money in pocket. Schools, for example, we're very keen and we've done one of the first off-grid, BPC or grid-tied school installation of solar.
Wow.
The Regent Hill School. We're about to do Northside School.
Wow.
And if you look at the savings that accrues to the school, I mean, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal.
So in other words, it's worth the investment. A lot of people need to say, look, if you're doing a building project, an infrastructural project, just put in the budget for a good solar system. Bear the brunt, and then in the future, it'll definitely result in cost saving.
Absolutely, Chef. If you look at that, the return on investment when you do it, I think people usually think capex is an issue. It is an issue because you have to part with money, a large sum amount of money at the beginning.
Yes.
But if you look at the return on investment, you realize within a very short period of time, between 3 to 4 years, depending on what you use as a source of.
Yes.
If you're using diesel, for example, you're gonna get your return within a couple of years at today's prices.
Okay.
If you're using the grid, it will take you 4 or 5 years to get your return on investment. Thereafter, utilizing our diamonds in the sky, which is the sun that is always
and we always curse that diamond, instead of appreciating it. That's fantastic. Let me ask you this question, and both you and Brian, obviously in the business of solar, there's a component of batteries, and there's always fast innovation that is happening. How important is it to bring in a professional to, obviously look at the kind of output that you'd want, because I know after X amount of years, you have to replace your battery component, and that can be substantial depending on your output. How important is it for us not to take the easy route of www.google.com and just think that we can, order something online and get a technician to come and, plug and play? Because solar is quite a technical, industry.
Thank you very much, Swift. That's a very important question again. And I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah,
people think you just plug and play, you just DIY yourself.
I've made a lot of
what we do as Sustainable Energy
mistakes.
Botswana is that we have industry standard equipment that we use.
Okay.
A data logger, when you are interested in solar, we first come to your premises and just install a data logger that's going to measure your consumption pattern and over a period of a week as a minimum. To look at your consumption pattern, how your consumption behaves, and your actual need in terms of your energy. And then we model that using, again, PVSys, which is an industry standard system, software, that then looks at your consumption pattern, and over a period of 12 months, look at the sun irradiation in the area that you are in. And that allows us now to design a system that is perfect for your use, such that you don't over-design. For
Yes,
example,
yes,
that you spend
yes.
a lot more than you need to.
Yes.
We custom size a system for you, such that you can optimize on the solar system. That is where you see the returns, because you've sized it correctly. And again, we use tier 1 products in terms of solar panels that
Yes.
have got warranties up to about 25 years.
Wow.
Inverters 12 to 14 years.
Wow.
Most of people actually don't even need batteries, which are very expensive, especially if you are in Botswana where the grid is quite stable. You just need to just have a grid tight system that you can use solar during the day.
You see
at
now.
night use BPC, and you can, if you've produced more than what you actually need, you've send it to BPC. In the evening, you get your credits back before you start buying. That way, you shorten your return on investment because you have not spent more than you need. If you are off grid, definitely you do need batteries.
Yeah.
But that adds to cost. But then your alternative is diesel, which is even more expensive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
still, it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, in my past life, I wish I was a benevolent dictator. I would change legislation immediately.
I know, I'm not voting for you then.
When I'm dreaming out loud, and include a solar policy in all real estate construction, in all commercial construction, just in line with climate change, in line with the benefits. I mean, what you're saying is definitely, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, because the other thing that I'm curious about is at household level. Because
Yes.
even though we're talking about costing and you know that you can augment it with BPC, is that something for household level? Is it feasible? Would you say somebody who has a house right now and they put in the solar, can you motivate to say that's a great idea? Or
Wow, that's a great question.
Absolutely, I would say, because I walk the talk. I've installed solar in my house, and I've seen the benefits. It cut my monthly bill by 50%.
50%.
That's 100% true, because you do produce for your needs. I mean, look at most of us during the day we're at work, and that is the time when you now export what you produce to BPC, because your needs during the day are reduced.
Powerful stuff.
Exactly. So that actually then allows you to accumulate enough credits, is that in the evening when your consumption goes up, you are able to start utilizing the accumulated credits before you start buying from BPC. It makes perfect sense. The return will be like 4 or 5 years. And I think when I look at it now, when I did it initially, I was looking at 4 or 5 years. I think it will be like 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
Return on investment on that. So it's, and we, yes, indeed, in terms of, if you are thinking of it, we can assist you as Sustainable Energy Botswana to enroll within BPC rooftop solar program, because as long as you're a BPC customer, you've been paying your bills for the past 12 months, BPC will accept your application and you can enjoy the benefits.
Wow. Rebecca Sola, it's an important component. Well, I'd like to also share some light. I have the honor of being part of an organization called Pula Sports Development Association. And in Buntleng Extension 14, we built the first community off-the-grid sports park. But I believe we made painful mistakes. We had read extensively on solar from a theory perspective, and we thought we could do it by just showcasing what we want. Later on, fast forward 2022, and that's why I'm asking you about battery operated systems and the difference between getting someone who can understand. Especially, we did not understand or take into consideration that you want to build in such a way that you can feed other low-income communities. We wanted to feed into the car wash, to feed into elements, but we have the battery system. So it's a great space that I'd like to see the likes of Botswana Energy, Botswana Sustainable Energy Botswana play in low-income areas, especially modeling those smaller components just for small income areas, because go na le di-general dealer, there's government schools in low-income areas that could really, really benefit from things like that in terms of small models that allow an educational platform teaching the communities about these things and teaching Botswana at large to say, well, look, solar is a great investment. It's not stealing your money.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you talk about residential adoption of or transitioning to solar,
yes.
I mean, if you as Sustainable Energy Botswana, we've actually been very fortunate. We've been working with Standard Chartered Bank, which is our partner bank in establishing a facility that will allow people to transition into. So if, for example, if you're a SCB customer,
yes,
you can get assistance from Standard Chartered Bank. We've looked at different models for like 1.5 kilowatt system for a smaller house and different household in terms of sizing the system to optimize usage and benefits.
Okay.
So that will definitely address some of the capex issue that often prevents people from transitioning into solar.
I'm putting you in a corner. When are you visiting the first Buntleng Futsal Park in Buntleng?
Swift, after this, just talk about it.
Thank you, sir. Is that a yes, though?
Yes, definitely.
Hey,
Let's hop in the car and just go straight there.
Thank you. You see, Brian, you're my man.
Yeah, we're speaking the same language, I think.
Absolutely. 3956962. If you just call in and share your perspective on solar, I'm going to let you win a goodie immediately. It's no questions. Just share what is your perspective on solar. Call me on 3956962. I got some great goodies here in studio for you, courtesy of the Stars and Stripes radio show America in Botswana. Solar Power Botswana. I'd like to also encourage you to be a part of Solar Power. Do you guys have social media, Brati Diti?
Yes, we do.
Where can we get you? Maditi, come the side or
no? It's not Maditi.
Get like Raposo. Get like Raposo. Paco, where can we find you?
You can find us on Twitter.
Okay.
As Sustainable Energy Botswana. Facebook Sustainable Energy Botswana, and then on LinkedIn we are African Sun Energy.
Okay.
And African Sun Energy is our mother company, located all over Africa.
Fantastic, simple. Gabs FM, good evening. Hello. Good evening. Good afternoon. How are you? Sorry.
Afternoon to you and everybody else in the studio.
Thank you, sir. Share your thoughts. Solar in Botswana. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the good solar, of course. I mean, we've been waiting for this initiative or these ideas. I mean, they can now go with me. I have to talk solar Botswana.
Thank you.
Botswana, how about our appliances? Like motakaso no, ya ka go penya dirisa no motakaso e thangwe no ka magala le dingwe tse o bereka sentle le appliances that are not even our computers. So what I want to know is how to dirisa solar e leng gore go tlo ba go gore we actually are taking the battery since Botswana is very reliable. Gore what affect yang the appliances that are not the computer. So,
okay, great question. I need you to do me a quick favor. Also send me a WhatsApp with your name to +267 395 6962 so that we give you your prize, okay?
So sorry, +2?
+267 395 6962.
956 okay.
Yeah, please send me a WhatsApp now. Just say your full name and Swift.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Trevor, thank you so much. Look, we're fast run out of time. Braditi, can you just answer the question if you're able to?
Yeah. Thank you. Is it Trevor?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor, for your question. I don't know, you want me to answer your question in Setswana?
Yes.
Or English is okay for you. Just let me know.
Let's do Setswana. You can go ahead.
Okay. I'll use both English and Setswana. It's a very important question, and thank you for asking it, because it clarifies a lot of things that people are uncertain about. When you have BPC, which is a grid tied connection,
yes,
we actually don't connect directly into your appliances.
Okay.
When we come in through the inverter, we connect into your existing DB, such that the power that comes out is just the same as the power that you've been utilizing that you get from BPC, because the purpose of the inverter is to change the DC current that is produced from the sun into alternating current that is now usable in your house.
Okay.
And what we then do, we just program such that we prioritize solar as our main source of energy for as long as the sun is up there, to again ensure that you benefit 100% from using solar.
Thank you, DT. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Stars and Stripes Show proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission in Botswana, America in Botswana.
Pina gare a lelwapa ke mosadi o se tswerere tapiwa ene o ba gaisa botlhe e rile re sena go bona kgwethe e sa tlwaelesegang mo lebeleng la gago ngaka ke fare kgolomo ke kankere ya lebele ke ne ka utlwa ke sitwa mme le gale ka tisa mo ka tshegetsa mosadi wa me le bana ra ba bolela gore fa mogorogoro wa moruti wa loso re a o feta ga re sale gompieno ke bua jaana mma a boana le ngwaga tse pedi re fentse kankere ya lebele mmogo go botlhokwa gore wena le mosadi le nne le itlhatlhoba mabele fa le ka bona seno le ye ko go ba bongaka thuso e bonwe nako e sa ntse e le teng molaetsa o lo tlisedwa ke ba Journey of Hope Botswana.
The Stars and Stripes Show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.